Hello, welcome to this celebration of the life of Harvey Baumoel. Thank you for coming. I'd like to welcome Harvey's family and friends who are joining us on Zoom. And also thank you, Charlie, wherever you are, for setting the mood so beautifully this afternoon. Before we begin, I'd like to invoke Harvey's spirit. So first, just look at your favorite photo of Harvey on the program. There are a few. Now, please just close your eyes for a moment and bring to mind Harvey's face and that beaming smile. And now in the silence, let yourself hear his irrepressible laugh. Let's just stay with this feeling for a moment. It's good to know that wherever Harvey is now, he is also safely tucked away in our own hearts. And I feel sure that his spirit is with us right now. Just after Harvey passed, I joined with a few other men to ritually wash his body. And true to his spirit, Teresa laid out clothes for us to dress him in. And so she brought out a tie-dye shirt and sweatpants. And so as an homage to Harvey, I'm wearing tie-dye today. And I noticed this was not an original idea because there's lots of tie-dye, especially his men's group. And I think, tie-dye represented to Harvey a more hopeful, a better world and a more joyful world. So, it's a bit of an awkward segue, but I'd like to get a few of the logistics out of the way so we can focus on our affection for the recollections of Harvey. In terms of housekeeping, there's absolutely no smoking anywhere on the premises or in the parking lot or even in the county. I mean, just zero smoking. And also, we of course want to leave the place as clean as how we found it. And I want to especially thank Hannah Bird and the field station for hosting this event. It's a lovely space. Thank you. Bathrooms. I've always wanted to do this. Bathrooms are out there and to the right and left of the double doors. And let's see, what else? I think the oxygen mask. The oxygen mask, yeah. And make sure you put yours on first before you deal with your child. Okay, so well, of course, I want to thank all the folks who helped Teresa put this memorial together. And I think she's going to make more specific thank yous later when she comes on. And please turn off your cell phones. Okay. Harvey and Teresa sketched out this program before he passed. So in true Harvey fashion, he was fully involved in bringing this community together. And as you can see from the program, there'll be several speakers and musical interludes. But in the interest of time and flow, I'm not going to introduce folks that are coming up here, so just refer to your programs. And one change, Tom Mompere was not able to make it here today. So Harvey's friend Paul Otto will be reading Tom's remarks. And after the formal program, folks will have a chance to share some of their reminiscences and tributes to Harvey while we commune over food and conversation. And that, I guess, will be out in the foyer.
No, it's gonna be here, but it'll be during the meal.
Yeah, I know, it'll be during the meal.
Yeah.
It'll be in here.
Yeah.
Okay. There are only 8 speaking slots for this after the formal program sharing. So if the spirit moves you, please sign up with Deborah, who's holding up the orange binder there, clipboard, and she'll put you on the list. But as I said, there are only a few slots, so the early bird catches the early worm. Let's see. I'd also like to mention that the slideshow will be available to view on YouTube at Harvey Baumoel Memorial. There's a note on your program that says something about the slideshow and YouTube at the end of the program, but that apparently is the wrong listing. So if you go to Harvey Baumoel Memorial on YouTube, you'll be able to find it. And the memorial in its entirety will also be available to watch on YouTube. And Teresa will send out a link through email to everybody. Okay. And let me also add that speakers coming up here, please stand close to the microphone so we can all hear you. Okay. All right, that's the housekeeping part. Harvey's biography is beautifully described in the obituary that Teresa wrote, which is on the entrance table. And if you haven't read it, I'd encourage you to do so. And also check out the bulletin board back there that provides more snippets and testimonials. Some of these features of Harvey's life will no doubt be highlighted by our speakers, but today is not so much about biographical tidbits or historical content as much as it is about trying to understand and honor the essential qualities that we all knew in Harvey. And so that's what we're going to focus on. Shortly before Harvey passed, he wrote down the things that had been most important in his life. And as you can probably guess, the list included gardening, music, travel, health, theater. And this one, I'll say that toward the end of his life, I was in a play reading group with Harvey. And even when he wasn't feeling well, he'd come to the group and he brought great empathy and humor and commitment to his roles, even at that level of theater, which was a fairly low bar. But he was great and continued to come really right up until the end. In addition to the list I already mentioned, perhaps the most significant ones that Harvey listed were home, by which I take it he meant his immediate family and his community of friends and neighbors, everybody here. And the last item, which goes a long way in defining Harvey, was helping people. And that he was all about, as you all know, helping people. I'm sure these life themes will be front and center in the stories that Harvey's friends and loved ones recount over the next hour or so, and that you'll share at your table with your table mates. For my part, Harvey was one of the first friends I made when I moved to Ukiah 35 years ago. He made me feel welcomed in those early days and throughout our long friendship. And perhaps that is one of the best ways to describe one of his essential characteristics, an open-hearted approach to life that recognizes our interdependence. So having said that, we'll begin now with the program, Harvey's Life Celebration, with an opening prayer.
Some beautiful faces here today. This is an opening prayer that was written by Gail Rhodes. She was a member of the Center for Spiritual Living, and that is where I also met Teresa and Harvey. Not that long ago, just 2 or 3 years ago. And it led to this moment here. So anyway, these are words from Gail Rhodes. So if we just relax for a moment. There is one infinite presence. It is the divine source of love, light, peace, power, beauty, joy, constantly expressing itself in, as, and through all that is. It is what we are now, what we have always been, and what we will always be. It is that divine essence that we come into this life to express, and what we take with us when we move forward into the next plane of existence. It is eternal. That beautiful eternal source of love and joy that is Harvey has touched and blessed all gathered here today, and countless others known and unknown. We celebrate Harvey's time with us today with great joy and love. We honor Harvey as a spiritual being having a human experience, and know that he is continuing to evolve spiritually. May his memory be a blessing. I release these words of truth into the one mind, knowing they are already so. And so it is.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. The only difference now it is, everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine, and I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but even better magic trick is that anything in here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding better isn't one. When holy water was red at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath, swimming in a sea of it. This used to be a world out there, having second-rate hand-me-down. But I walk it with a reverent care, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face, say it's not a testament, but that can be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, well I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird, shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. This used to be a world half bare. Heaven second rate hand me down. Now I walk it with a reverent care, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Everything is holy.
Can you hear me? No. Okay,
Pull it out, just hold it.
then it'll probably shake. Hey. I'm Cookie's cousin, and I've known Harvey since we welcomed him into our family. This is the 23rd Psalm, Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lay down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley, the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod, your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Maybe just like.
Hello, family members back east. Debbie Baumoel, who thank you very much for being the administrator. I can't hold it. I don't like to hold it.
Is that gonna work?
Yeah, it'd be fine. Thank you all for coming. A lot of people helped. I couldn't have done this, I tell you. And I want to thank Hannah Bird, and I want to thank this beautiful facility here at the University Field Station here in Hopland. It's such a sacred spot. I don't know how you could ever feel it isn't as spiritual as any other place of worship that you might go to. It's sacred to the homo, and you can feel that here in the nature. I also want to thank the core group, because there were 4 people that kept me sane and off the ledge, besides Armand being the 5th. And that was Phoebe Yorkoff, Margaret Rodier, Mary Hooper, who couldn't even be here today. Bless her for all she did. And Terry Brown, who read the prayer. But I mainly want to thank the community, because you helped us starting 27 years ago at the beginning of this ride, when we could have lost Harvey really much earlier. There were people that always came forward. There was always a men's group, of course, and we always had food. And this last round, you can't hear? This last round was really hard. And people made soups. Some people made soups every other week. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And I want to thank, I already said, but Debbie Baumoel could not be here, Harvey's younger sister, and she's the administrator of Zoom. So I'm going to read my. I'm gonna have to take this down. I hate to do this, but I will. Carrie Hamburg introduced me to Harvey in 1980 at a Class K rally. He was collecting Barry Commoner signatures and I was registering voters. I remember noticing that his teal t-shirt seemed to reflect his eyes, and I was attracted to him. He asked me to dance at the Bonnie Raitt and Pauline Year fundraiser for supervisors that year, and I called him Wally. But somehow we got together that year. I'm gonna be shaking, so it's just the way it is. I wanted a partner who had similar values to me, which he did. Not only in the political arena, but also in family, community, and living a conscious spiritual life. Harvey recognized the dignity in all people without judgment or label or attempts to label them as different. This was evident in his work when he worked with people with mental and physical challenges. He was known to cause good trouble in his work environment, standing up for clients. So it's no surprise he had a question authority bumper sticker on his truck when I met him. I remember going with him to his 20th reunion where we were the most underdressed people of all his Cleveland Heights classmates. He in a Hawaiian shirt and khakis while everybody else was in a suit and tie. While people were asking what each other did for a living, Harvey was going up to them and saying, "Are you happy in life?" Could you give me some Kleenex before I start? Okay. One of Harvey's gifts was the love of music. When a situation or feeling arose, he would go directly to an album and he would pick out the right song in the album in the wide collection that would reflect that experience or that feeling. Of course, with Siri, it made it a lot easier. If a group played Name That Tune, if it was in the 50s, 60s, or 70s, Harvey would win. Excuse me. Mendocino College's first theater, or maybe it was the second, I guess it was at the fairgrounds at one time, was at a former Circle K on Laws Avenue. Harvey performed in a number of plays there, most of them musicals. It was while he was performing as Model the Tailor in Fiddler in the Roof, getting married on stage night after night, that he first proposed to me. I said, wait and see if you still feel that way after the play is over. Harvey performed in The Foreigner at the Playhouse. At intermission, I was approached by many people who said, what does Harvey come on the stage? Isn't he in this play? He actually was in the first scene, but they didn't recognize him because he was a racist, anti-Semitic redneck. Harvey didn't like how that play made him feel. And so when they did a restaging of that play, he played the hero, Froggy. Harvey was beyond joyful when we adopted Brian, our son, and he was a wonderful father. He made a strong commitment to be present to him physically and emotionally, which he was. One of the joys they experienced in later years was a trip to Burning Man the year before Brian died. You might have seen it in the slideshows. While Brian's death brought us both to our knees, it also made our relationship stronger. For most of our 44 years together, Harvey was in a men's group. Over the years, he was in a variety of groups, many of which he started. He was passionate. He was passionate about the importance of group process to help people heal and grow. These included a couple group, inner child group, adoption group, psychodrama, Ananda group, Abraham Hicks group, Power of Now group, Spiritual Awakening group, Cancer Resource Center men's group, Radical Remission book group, play reading group, pain management group, Power of Intention group, and Emotions Anonymous, of course. And these aren't even all of them. Can I ask if you were in a group with Harvey to put your hand up? Because I see many of you. Men's group, psychodrama, play reading group. I mean, he was in a lot of groups. Harvey was always a spiritual seeker. Starting with the rabbi's comparative religion class in summer school. I think, though, it was after his diagnosis that he submerged more into that calling that was within him. He joined the Ananda group, and Mahasavi Shalom taught him how to meditate. Soon after, early meditation and yoga became a part of our routine. We attended the Center for Spiritual Living for 20 years. Harvey and I were both spiritual mind practitioners. He led classes and workshops, presided, and served on the board. He joined his interest of helping people discover their inner strengths, working through emotional issues within a spiritual context. Harvey started an Emotions Anonymous group at the Center for Spiritual Living. But when COVID came, he started 2 more on Zoom. As of summer last year, he was continuing with 6 of his various groups and working as a sponsor, even through beginning chemo. He meditated, and he was always listening to Native American flute and Tibetan music at the end of his days. I want to say something. About a month ago, I don't know when it was, but a month ago, there was a yellow swallowtail butterfly. And it stayed 3 hours at our butterfly bush in the front of the house that Harvey planted. And when I sat outside, it kept swooping in front of me. And it permitted me to get as close as this, because I couldn't see, it was so sunny, and it spread its wings right in front of me. I looked up what swallowtail butterfly. It's the embodiment and the transformation of a soul making their spiritual transition. And it's a sign of hope and freedom and the power of the soul. Just about a week before Harvey died, he had me write a few things. One was how sad he was that we wouldn't be able to celebrate our 50th anniversary with this community. Because he said, there are deep roots for both of us here, and we've shared so much in so many ways with people So today I thank you for being here and helping me celebrate Harvey. And to send him on a full moon with your loving support and blessings.
I don't know if you know this song, but in your program are some words. And that is the chorus of this song. You'll know it when it's in. So you'll be able to sing. You can dance too if you want. There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all by myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the spirit run my life. And I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the spirit run my life. And the heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the spirit from my life. And my heart is open wide. I am only here for God.
Well, as you all know, Harvey put a premium on finding peace in himself and sharing that peace with his family and his friends and his community. And so he chose a short passage, which was a foreword written by the Dalai Lama for Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Peace in Every Step. So I'm going to read that short passage now. Although attempting to bring about world peace through the internal transformation of individuals is difficult, it is the only way. Wherever I go, I express this, and I am encouraged that people from many different walks of life receive it well. Peace must be first developed within an individual. And I believe that love, compassion, and altruism are the fundamental basis for peace. Once these qualities are developed within an individual, he or she is then able to create an atmosphere of peace and harmony. This atmosphere can be expanded and extended from the individual to his family, from the family to the community, and eventually to the whole world.
Hello. Harvey Baumoel. I knew Harvey well for a short, intense time when we were in our early to mid-20s. My first encounter with Harvey was as a freshman student at Ohio State in 1969. On a beautiful spring day in Columbus, while walking from class back to my dorm, I had to pass through this enormous expanse of lawn greenery called the Oval, perhaps a half a mile long. Ohio State was and is a big school. But there, particularly in the afternoons, multiple students would congregate in groups, sitting on the grass, many in the lotus position, as was the custom at the time. One group sporting banners saying, "Support the 34," caught my eye. It was Harvey's group. They were a group of maybe 10 or so students called the February 21st Committee, formed to protest the expulsion of 34 Black students who had taken over the administration building the previous winter, demanding more Black students, more Black faculty, a Black student union, and a Black studies department. Harvey chatted me up as I stopped to inquire. Harvey was this mustachioed, fairly long-haired social work student who was a senior, who immediately impressed me with his welcoming nature, dedication, passion for social justice, humor, and an unusual gentleness, especially unusual for men at that time. I joined his group and we became friends. The group, Harvey and I met often that spring, planning and staging protests and writing pamphlets. Harvey graduated that spring, and with it the group fizzled, but Harvey and I stayed friends. Now back home in Cleveland for the summer on a visit, Harvey showed me some of Cleveland's finest eateries, Geraci's Pizza and Corky and Lenny's, a Jewish deli as good as I had ever encountered. And I am a New Yorker. That summer, I met Harvey's parents. And what was memorable about that was that the way that Harvey's father pronounced Harvey's name. Harv. Bizarre for me, a New Yorker who had never heard an R pronounced in any word. Later that summer, Harvey stayed with me in New York as he began his conscientious objector obligations doing work at Rikers Island, a New York City prison. He regaled me with tales of dealing with the rough and tough, and he seemed to relish the challenge, never blinking an eye, working with these folks. The next winter, we met up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where Harvey had another social work job, and finally in Berkeley, where Harvey settled in 1971. This is all ancient history, folks. In Berkeley, Harvey now working in mental health in a halfway house out in Contra Costa County. We got together often to talk and frequently sing one of Harvey's favorite things to do, particularly a cappella. Harvey knew that I enjoyed singing as well, and one day he cajoled me to go to Sproul Plaza, a main thoroughfare for Cal students, to sing for our supper, as it were. Harvey had a favorite a cappella duo song, "What's Your Name?" by Don and Juan. That soon we sang for change. I was Don and he was Juan. You have to be over 70 to remember it. It came out in 1962, but I won't sing it. All right, you talked me into it. What's your name? Is it Mary or Sue? What's your name? Do I stand the chance with you? It's so hard to find a personality with charms like yours for me. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, ooh-wee. What's your name? What's your name? Shooby-doo-bop-ba-da. Harvey really loved that last part. Shooby-doo-bop-ba-da. What does that even mean? Harvey was a great guy, fun, caring to the max. Like I said earlier, unusually gentle for a guy, especially in those days, and original. I miss him, and he will always hold a special place in my memory.
The road is long, with many a winding turn that leads us to knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong, strong enough to carry. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. For I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. If I later, oh, I'm laden with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love. Oh, one other. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on the way to there, why not share? And the Lord does not weigh me down at all. Yet heavy, it's my brother. Heavy, he's my brother. He ain't heavy. He's my brother.
I get this mic to cooperate. All right. It's so great to hear all these stories about Harvey. See everybody here today. I met Harvey in the mid-90s. I was in a men's group with him for about nine years, starting in 96 or 97. Can you hear me okay? And as we've already said, there are lots of other guys here in Harvey's men's groups. Because that's what he liked to do, right? Our group had a strong emphasis on spirituality, which is no surprise, given who Harvey was. And we were always doing rituals and singing and chanting and meditating, but also always into deep, heartfelt conversations with each other, helping each other through our lives and through the years together. The cancer diagnosis was a big shock to all of us. That was in 1997. And Harvey did a ton of research about treatment options and got the insurance company to pay for the treatment. But he had to work really hard to do that, but he pulled it off. He had the procedure in 1998 and you know, it was up and down after that, but basically Harvey, you know, had good quality of life. He kept on loving and kept on living. In addition to our regular meetings in the for the men's group, we also went on annual trips into the wilderness. Both backpacking trips and 3-day canoe trips led by Len Wolf. He was our fearless leader in that. He's also here today. And these trips were amazing, as we'd always have great fellowship out in the wilderness, beautiful time, relaxing in nature. But there were also challenges, trying to get all of the gear to fit in the canoes, or to get all the gear up to the top of the mountain was often difficult. And Harvey was overweight at that time, and he was usually bringing up the rear. But he always persevered, and he made it into camp, and always had good energy to bring to the evening meal once he'd had time to recuperate. I remember on more than one occasion, Yorgos Savitas, who preceded Harvey by many years in crossing over into the Great Mystery, would get up very early and awaken us one by one by whispering in our ear the great poem by Rumi. Maybe some of you know it. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. I always loved that poem. And I also knew that it had depths to it that I just didn't understand. But I think Harvey understood that poem really well, because he was always about waking up and staying awake. He was about loving people and persevering in that. We all knew how much Harvey loved Teresa and Brian. One year, Harvey brought Brian on one of the wilderness adventures. It was when Brian was 11 and he'd been to a Jewish summer camp and he was having a hard time there. He was having nightmares and he couldn't sleep at night. So Harvey went to get him. We thought that Harvey wasn't going to make that trip, but around dusk of our first day, he and Brian snuck up on us and surprised us while we were sitting around the fire. It was so great to have Harvey there and so great to have Brian there. And it turned out to be a really wonderful weekend for Brian and for Harvey and for all of us. That's what kind of man Harvey was. What kind of father, what kind of friend. The last time I saw Harvey was 2 summers ago, as I've lived out of town for quite a while, and I passed through Ukiah, and I had the good opportunity to stay in Harvey and Teresa's backyard, camped out for 3 or 4 nights, and we had some meals together and just caught up and shared some conversations. And Harvey and I went out to coffee at the co-op one morning, and I had a chance to check in on a little deeper with him. And Harvey was good then. He was really happy. He was loving his family and community and continuing on his spiritual path. I had no indication at the time that the cancer was coming back, and I didn't hear about it until his passing. But I was really glad to have that opportunity to check in with him and just to remember what a good heart Harvey was, what a great person he was, and how caring and steadfast. And we love you, Harvey, and we miss you. Thank you very much.
Hi. Hi, I'm Lynn and is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So, boy, there's a lot of you here. My first memory of Harvey is when I went to a mom and toddler group around 1989 at the Methodist Church in Ukiah. I didn't know anyone in Ukiah yet. And I talked to this man there, Harvey, who was there with his son Bryce, later Brian. And at the end of that get together, there were two things that had happened. One is I knew that Harvey and Teresa, who I hadn't even met yet, were going to be my friends. And the other thing that happened was the group was no longer a mom group. It was a parents group. Thank you, Harvey, for that. The years went by. We were all working. We were raising our sons. These are some memories that I'm going to tell you that to me just kind of illustrate and give a little snapshot of who Harvey was in a friendship. And so I can't talk about Harvey without talking about Teresa too, because they were so intertwined. They're still intertwined. And so here's some of my memories of Harvey. When Roger and I would go to their house, we'd walk in and I can still hear Harvey's big voice saying, "Roger, Lynn, welcome." And I would go there to commiserate about many things. We both had sons that were challenging at times. And there's nobody that really relates to that like somebody else in the same position. So I have memories of just the compassion that he showed about that. I went there when my sister died. We were together when Brian died. Harvey and Teresa were there for Roger and me when Roger had a bad accident. And it was Harvey that coined Roger's nickname of Father Roger. While he was still in the hospital, something we still call him to this day. And it was Harvey that married us. There's so many memories that add up to such a long friendship. We used to do an annual camping trip with our other friends, Phyllis and Steve. Harvey often organized the meals. We would go on hikes, and that's when I realized that Harvey knew every single lyric of every single Beatles song. And he would sing them to us as we walked. So much more, many Thanksgivings, many New Year's Eves. Harvey was the only person I knew that also liked to listen to the KOZT Top 95 that played every year, yes. And we would write down the songs as they played and share the list the next day. When Harvey was in his last weeks, we started to talk about his passing. And he talked about being ready to go, but he did not want to go. He did not want to leave Teresa. Back and forth. His words, he was beginning to accept the unacceptable. My final memory is really a vision I had after he died. Roger and I were heading home. Other friends were with Teresa. It was a beautiful beautiful, sunny, clear spring day. As we drove north, we could see the snow on the mountains in the national forest. And I pictured Harvey running up that mountain, arms in the air like Tevye on the rooftop, running toward whatever was next for him. I don't know how to say goodbye here. We miss you, we love you, and may we meet again.
Is this the little girl I have? Is this the little boy I pray? I don't remember growing older. When did she get to be a beauty? When did he grow to be so tall? Was that in yesterday when they were small? Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly over the day. Sea rings turn overnight to sunrise, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly blow the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears. What words of wisdom can I give them? How can I hope to ease their way? Now they must learn from one another, day by day. They look so natural together, just like two newlyweds should be. Is there a canopy in store for me? Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly glide the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly glide the years. One season following another, laden with happiness and tears.
Thank you, Calvin.
for that beautiful music that you've been providing for us. Tom sends his regrets that he was not able to be here and speak his words himself. I will be speaking his words for him. Harvey and I belong to a prostate cancer support group that meets through Zoom. It was sponsored by the Cancer Resource Center, and Paul Otto was the facilitator. The group meets twice a month. Several members of the group are here today. I think Harvey was in the group when I joined. He would always remind new members of the group of how long he had lived with prostate cancer and that treatment options were always available. I would tell Harvey several times each year how important his presence in the group was. Harvey would always discount my comments and not accept the compliments. In our group, he was a researcher, group historian, community involvement coordinator, etc. I remember he helped out one of our members who was experiencing constant pain from swollen lymph nodes. He had researched this problem and came up with the treatment and even located therapists that dealt with it in Santa Rosa. Harvey always had a positive view of the problems that we were having and did not let us dwell on the negative. He would often talk about the future, what he and Teresa were planning to do. For a group that was facing end-of-life issues on a daily basis, this was very important. It reminded us that there were things in life other than our prostate cancer. Harvey was very good at helping new members of our group. When someone joined our group who had just been diagnosed with prostate cancer, he would always tell them that there were options that would extend their life. He would cite his own experience of being diagnosed with prostate cancer in the mid-1990s, and he was still living an active life. He would explain how the local oncologists could help, but they should explore other resources like UCSF. I remember one new member who was clearly fearful in dealing with prostate cancer and expressed the concern openly to the group. Harvey spent a good part of that meeting focused on helping him to deal with it and explore the options. He was also his own advocate on treatments. Once he was told to take a certain dosage of a drug, but it caused him a myriad of problems. He lowered the dosage and it seemed to still work based on his PSA. This was helpful to members of our group because we were in similar modes of treatment. Harvey's creativity had no limit. He started a book group based on the book by Kelly Turner titled Radical Remission, Surviving Cancer Against All Odds. He also had a couple of other members join him in his love of gardening. I remember once he told me that I needed to come to the book group because it was dealing with a particular subject he knew I was interested in. One day he told me that he was thinking about starting another new group, and I said something to the effect, Harvey, how in the world do you do it? Most of us in the cancer group recognize the importance of those who help us through this journey. Harvey would always speak of the importance of Teresa in his life. Her love, compassion, and support sustained him over the years. Our thoughts and love are with her as she grieves over the loss of a magnificent partner and amazing human being. Harvey will be dearly missed by all. Tom.
I don't like this mic. Hold it. I'll hold it. Okay. I'm writing this eulogy about my death at age 64 as part of an assignment for becoming a spiritual mind practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living through Dr. Candace Beckett. What can I say about myself? I was born into a Jewish family in Cleveland, Ohio in December 1947 of Walter and Alice Baumoel with two sisters, Helene and Debbie. I had a fairly uneventful childhood. A highlight was when I was introduced to acting in elementary school and attended acting summer school. It was a chance for me to step out of my life and become all sorts of different people. It was the beginning of a lifelong love of acting. I went on to graduate from Ohio State in 1969 with a bachelor's degree in social work by the skin of my teeth. That was mainly because I was involved in anti-war protests and civil rights activities. A big claim to fame is that I attended Martin Luther King's funeral, or should I say, the procession, and saw him in state at Morehouse College. After college, I was a VISTA volunteer in the South Bronx and in Rikers Island. I moved to Berkeley in 1972 and helped tear up asphalt in the second version of People's Park, which is another claim to fame. I moved to Ukiah in 1979, following many hippies into an alternative community. After many poor and failed relationships, I met the woman of my dreams, Teresa, who I am still married to, except for the fact that I'm dead now.
Amen, amen.
But I know we will remain connected in her heart. We have grown closer over the years and have continued to enjoy each other by accepting each other as we are, dancing and being silly together, as we promised in our vows. Oh yeah, I believe our wedding was an amazing experience. For any of you who remember, with a rabbi and a priest officiating under a huppah at St. Mary's Catholic Church. After working as a gardener for a number of years, I created with a lot of help the Challenge Garden project. This vocational training program for mental health clients combined my gardening and social work interests well. I then had a fruitful 13 years working in welfare to work mental health program until I retired in 2012. I have fully enjoyed my retirement, acting, gardening, helping people find and follow their dreams, and continue doing workshops and classes to help people find their own spirituality and grow into what they want to do and be. Change happens. Growth is a choice. First of all, I want to say goodbye. And it has been quite a lovely ride joining you in life. I have enjoyed our conversations, plays, music, camping, and anything else we engaged in. Maybe I'll see you on the other side. In my life, I have been open to the mystery of death, and I am open to being pleasantly surprised if there is an afterlife. If there is, I hope I can come and say hello to each of you sometime and give a great spiritual hug to my loving son, Brian, who I have missed immensely. I would like to insert a poem that applies to me now and that my mother wouldn't let me read at my father's funeral. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sun on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. In conclusion, I want to say something. He actually had a little note here, my last chance to proselytize. I want to say something about the importance of making changes and growth in your life. To me, that means pay attention to your feelings and be happy. I recommend that everybody do what they love and follow their heart. Remember how your physical and emotional health are intertwined. Smile, love one another, have compassion, sing and dance. Love yourself and those close to you. When my mother died in her 80s, she said she was satisfied and that she lived a good life. I think I can follow her example and say the same thing. I want to say something. Excuse me, but I'm noticing, did we, Hannah's already left. Oh, Hannah, I don't know, is this recording?
It should be.
It seems like it's still playing the slideshow.
Still recording.
Oh, sorry, Zoomers. Bye.
You remember when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky as we walk in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while among the fields of barley. In his arms she found as her head came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. I never made promises like this, and there have been some that I've broken. But I swear in the day still light, we'll walk in fields of gold. We will walk in fields of gold. I never made promises lightly, and there have been some that I've broken. But I swear in the day still that I will walk in fields of gold. We will walk in fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days among the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down to lie in fields of gold. When the west wind moves among the fields of barley, you can tell the sun in his jealous sky that we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold.
Height for Harvey. I see a mom and several kids carrying a large kite in the shape of an airplane onto the soccer field. I just heard that my friend had passed away. When I got the news, the house suddenly seemed to close in on itself. I just wanted to get out into the sunshine where the air is the color of release. And now I can't help but think of my friend occupying that fragile paper plane as he makes his way to wherever he's bound on this blustery spring day. One of the older boys sprints across the bright new grass while the wind lifts the kite above his head. But after a while, he runs out of steam and the plane glides back to earth. It is hard to leave the body. I think of my friend who spent the last few months trapped in his bed, and now he is unspooling in the wind. The kids strain to see him as he passes before the sun. They are in awe of his ascent. My friend pilots his spirit plane in the late afternoon, as if his body had finally overcome its struggles with gravity. I imagine the pull of the eternal will be so strong at some point that it will snap the string that keeps my friend tethered, and then he will become part of it all. Thank you. We are at the end of the program, and I'd like to thank everyone again and mention if you haven't signed up and there are still slots, you can sign up to speak for Harvey and about Harvey. And the last thing is Calvin and I think Charlie are going to do When the Saints Go Marching In. And when we get to the third verse, the last verse, you saints can all get up and march out those doors. Those doors, I asked Teresa about 14 times which doors. Those doors and go around to the tables in the foyer, outside actually, in the foyer. In the foyer, and there'll be two lines on either side of the table. And they can, and you can either eat outside or inside. Okay, thank you again.
Can I just add one thing to that? I'm sorry to break into it, but I just wanted to point out that you may well need to use the bathroom. You are most welcome to, but please don't take the shortcut to the tables. Come back in here and go around that way, and that'll keep things nice and straight. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
All right, everybody. When the Saints go marching in, I'll give you a little introduction. You'll know when to come in. All right? The Saints marching in. Oh, the Saints go marching in.
Last stand, right.
Thank you.
Yes. Right, it's like.
Anybody wants to unmute themselves and have a chat? Some people I know here and some people I don't know.
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Harvey was my sponsor. And I didn't know when I first got Harvey as a sponsor how lucky I was. I had no idea how involved in the program was, how knowledgeable he was, that I was getting one of the best sponsors there were. And it worked out beautifully. And we finished on step 10. I'm in trouble trying to find someone to as good as him to replace him, but there's not gonna be. Because he always knew the right words to say. He always knew how to make me feel better, how to help me change my perspective, how to apply the steps, how to work them. And the wisdom he had was just unbelievable. And I kept hearing from people about all the stuff that he'd done through his life, and I was just, wow, so much. And that much time in a day. I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Ken. And just to type in the chat, I'm really grateful that we had the opportunity to just unmute and speak because I'm a slow typer. Yeah, I feel truly blessed to have gotten the opportunity to know Harvey. He was my sponsor as well. We I didn't do a lot of work on the steps, but he was always willing and he was always so helpful. I I just can't express how much that man helped me. Just find peace. And yeah, like I said, I feel truly blessed to have gotten to meet him, get to know him as well as I did. Yeah, he will be dearly missed. You want to share, Sheila?
Harvey's my
Can we
older
just jump
brother.
in?
Yeah,
Oh,
go right
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, um, hi, everybody. My name is Ione and I live in New York City. And I met Harvey through EA on Zoom. So I never met him in person,
Mm.
but I felt like I already knew him just from the way he expressed himself in meetings. And I wanted to be a part of that positivity that he kind of emitted from himself. I don't know. He was just, he was definitely a very special person. Um, he helped me through a very difficult time, which is why I joined EA. It was during the pandemic. And you never would have known that he had his physical challenges at the time. He never really, I mean, he talked about it, but not, you know, to the point where he was feeling sorry. He just embraced it as part of his life. And didn't let it interfere with helping others, which is what he did. I think that's what his calling was in life. And I'm glad that I got to experience it because, to be honest, I haven't really met anybody like that. So I wanted to just share briefly my experience, and thanks for listening.
Thank you. It's cool to me because you know, I really didn't know that part of Harvey's life. I knew he was in all these groups when Teresa was reading off the list of all the groups. I was like, yeah, that sounds familiar. But I live in St. Louis, and Harvey's, you know, lived in California for so many years. And so we, you know, there's so many aspects of his life that I'm learning about in a new way just by hearing you guys talk. So it's really wonderful. I'm the youngest of the three of us, so there's a big gap, a big age difference. Harvey was 9 years older than me, and then our sister was 12 years older than me. Um, so there was a long period of time when they were both gone, and I was with, you know, my parents by myself. But there was, you know, some great memories, of course, that I have of Harvey, of playing the piano with him. We played duets together, and of him pretending to be Lurch from the Addams Family during Halloween, and he would answer the door as Lurch, you know, and scare all the kids away. Some great memories like that, and lots more, of course. But when I heard the guitar player playing Sunrise Sunset, I have to admit that really got to me because um, our grandmother Tilly Cone, and my cousin Alan is on here too and knows this, was a singer, and one of the songs that she sang at a whole bunch of family weddings was Sunrise Sunset. And we have recordings of her singing that song. It was always a meaningful song. And then when Harvey got that part in Fiddler on the Roof of Muddle the Tailor, and you know, it was, that song was sung to him so many times as he, you know, played that part. It just was so meaningful to our family in an even bigger way because of this memories of our grandmother singing that song. So that was a pretty heartfelt thing to hear them singing that song today. I could go on, but I'd love to hear other people's, you know, reminiscence and experiences.
Yeah, so uh, we just jump in, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
I guess, I'm similar to the couple that have gone on. Harvey was my sponsor as well, and he was my sponsor, during the last 4 months of his life, and even when he was really sick, he would text me. And like one weekend, I saw him like text me a bunch of. He was really, as he was, you know, I guess getting ready, or I don't know what to say, but he wasn't well enough to meet, and we got up to for step 3 for me, and even though he wasn't able to meet, it was really painful for him. You could see. He would still text me. He'd be like, "What you doing? Go watch this spiritual movie on Netflix." I my sponsor, I did it. But I remember one time too. Uh, we were meeting, and he's sitting in, I think his like a lounger chair, and Teresa walks in the room, and I'd never met her. You know, I only know Harvey from the Zoom. So all of a sudden, he breaks the meeting and goes, "This is Teresa. Teresa, this is Marissa."
That's awesome.
And it was really nice. So, you know, I mean, you know, so it was just really nice. And then yesterday I got a text from Teresa, which was nice. But it was really funny because I got it on Harvey's number.
I know,
So
me too. Just blows me away.
like, so it was kind of like, oh wow. And then like I was like, okay. Anyway, those are some memories I just wanted to share. Thanks.
You know, Teresa talked about that butterfly and yellow swallowtail butterfly that hung around for 3 hours in their yard by the butterfly bush, and she sent me a picture of it. And if I can share it with you just real quick, there it was. I don't know if you can see it right there, but it just stayed around, she said, for hours and hours and hours. So I don't know if you believe in that sort of thing, but it was pretty powerful, I thought.
That's awesome.
Can everyone hear me? This is Harvey's cousin, Alan. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'd just like to share my memory when I was in St. Louis for Joe and Allie's wedding, and we got to spend a nice, wonderful couple days together, more than we'd ever done in our whole life. Since him being in California and being in Cleveland, of course, when we grew up, you go your separate ways, but together with family gatherings and different occasions. But we really spent some quality time and alone time and got to really talk. And that's my last memory of Harvey. And they were good memories. We laughed, we talked, and we were at a wonderful celebration, a wedding, and it meant a lot to me. And I'm glad that we were able to do it. It was something I really cherish.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Debbie.
Bye.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
So I'm Ruthie Staber, and this is Julie Staber, my sister, get in there. Annabelle, my mother, get your head up there because let's see. There we go. So we're the New York cousins, and Cookie's father, Rudy, was our father, Alex's brother. So we're first cousins on the father line. And Cookie and Harvey had visited Aunt Annabelle
Couple
in New York
times.
City, well, not New York City. My mother lived in Brooklyn forever, as did we, but she then moved upstate to the Catskills where we live. And right, like Julie said, a couple times. And I was actually at their wedding, as my mother and father were. But anyway, we didn't get to see them much because of course different coasts. And but the last time I saw, I guess both of them, we did, was years ago, and they came back to New York up to the Catskills and took over my mother's apartment. And
And Harvey made breakfast for all of us.
Harvey made breakfast, she said. Here, get in the picture there, Mom.
Okay.
So anyway, Harvey is amazing and fun, and really wish that we had lived closer. Same thing with Teresa, and we did grow up calling her Cookie because her mother's name was Cookie also. It was her nickname. But the other thing is just about, just because you're family with people doesn't mean you are always in sync. And the thing about both Teresa and Harvey is that all of us did share very strong values. And our parents, Julie's and my parents, my mother and my father, who's passed a while ago, very strong social activists. And there's always something going on in these political times and whatever political times. And Harvey and my father, when my father was still alive, would really go at it together. And my mother married outside of the Jewish religion and culture, and so she's Jewish. And then Cookie married Harvey. So we were so excited to have her marry somebody Jewish. Not that that totally matters, but And so I guess just mostly we wanted to represent the Stavers. And Debbie, I've heard of you and his family. And my parents were living in New York City and then upstate. So it's not as close to Western Pennsylvania and the rest of the gang and where you are. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just.
So not being that profound, but they are both profound and beautiful and amazing. And it's hard to have people you feel not just to your family, but that you resonate with, and they're so far away, And even in times, we've had a lot of stuff going on in our family, and even at times when Harvey was, obviously in the throes of things, as was Teresa as a caregiver. Teresa and Harvey would both put our family members in their prayers and their practice. And Cookie was even offering to somehow get meals delivered to us at a certain point. And then look at what she shared about all the soup that came in her door, So very, very special. And Harvey, obviously, from so much that we've heard and what we've experienced, is deep soul. And we have a lot of gratitude. And Teresa, if you get to see this video, just know that we love you and we miss you, and we'll pay for an airfare anytime you want to come visit. And but Julie, do you want to say anything? Or Mom, do you want to say anything for Cookie?
Cookie knows we have a deep bond. She came to visit before Alex died. We spent a lot of time together, got close, and she's someone very special in my life. And I know what she must be going through now. And I just want to send, and I think, Debbie, I think we met at the wedding.
I think so. I think
were you at the wedding?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
And I remember,
And Alan too, right?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
He's saying me too. Yep.
Yeah. So I met the family and enjoyed the wedding, and I keep remembering the dance that had, them in a chair, the dance. And then it was really a fun time, and the ecumenical nature of it, the rabbi and the priest. And the priest was the rabbi, I believe, was a folk singer as well. There was always something very special about our connection.
It was. I remember meeting you guys. I remember Uncle Alex for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot about that till my mother just said it, that my father passed ultimately of cancer and some other things as well, but Cookie just adored him. And when she was younger, she and her friend were traveling to Europe, but they would make it part of their trip to come to Brooklyn, and my father would give them like, you know, a tour of the other side of the tracks in the city kind of deal. But she felt so strongly when my father was getting sick again that she had to come to New York and see him. And she flew in through Albany, and Julie and I got her down to Brooklyn, and she spent like a week with my mother and father, and she and my father would be down in the basement where he was showing her all these things. And you know, Harvey was just so supportive of her making this trip. And yeah, she stayed. And then, you know, my father was, you know, exhausted and sleeping a lot. And she and my mother would stay up late talking about everything, you know, and that was where Harvey was too, like in spirit then, but just in reality, he was around the kitchen table too, you know?
Yeah.
So very special, and we miss them both. And Harvey's amazing. He's very interesting.
Thank you. So I think the sound for the music on the video didn't really come through very well, but there was a slideshow that was playing, and I put a link to it in the chat. There's a YouTube link. So if anybody wants me to put it in again, I will.
I watched it last night. It's very easy. You just go to YouTube and put Harvey Baumoel Memorial. Came
Right, and it is in the
we won't
link in
have
the
to.
chat, but I can add it again if anybody wants.
But we
it.
can't get back to the chat, can we?
No, but if you click on it while we're talking,
Oh, okay.
you know, then
There.
you can grab it, or just do
Hey,
it.
excuse me.
Is that Mr. Larry?
Yeah, I wanted to say
I recognize somebody.
this is part of the
All of a
East,
sudden late. No
part
wonder
of
I
the
keep
East
stabbing.
Coast. This is part of the East Coast contingent
Hey,
over
Kia.
here, the Staber Keo group. And my sister, who's really challenged, she couldn't get on, so I'm holding her in my hand here with a phone.
I can't believe you both kept scrolling. Where are they?
She's going to be speaking here, and I'm going to get out of the picture while I hold.
On a little bit.
I'm going to hold this up close so you can see her and hear
You're
her.
not doing so well, Larry. Stop shaking.
Stop shaking.
I got the shakes.
Stop shaking.
Go ahead, Jean, my sister.
Okay, Lars, my brother, consummate musician and great big heart, just like Harvey, just like Harvey. Oh my gosh, well-spoken Ruthie, Annabelle, and hello, Julie. We are the Pennsylvania Staber kitchen table clansmen and women. And it's a beautiful service. I don't know if Teresa is part of this right now.
No, she's not.
Probably eating with everybody.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Okay. So it's pretty obvious who Harvey was, the spirit of the man, the goodness of the man. The thoughts that come through are, if you met Harvey only once, you would never forget him. And that's true. Harvey possessed a robust passion for life. And he was big in stature. He was so big is the word that I come up with. A big person, a big voice, big love, big joy, big compassion, big laugh, big, beautiful soul. And as Ruthie put it, a deep soul. He runs deep. And really, he's a reflection of all who we all want to be, that big love, that big passion. I have to say that I've met many people in my lifetime who are just like Harvey. And we can learn something from Harvey, just about love and how to live your life in a kind, joyful way, robustly. Every day is the gift.
Mm-hmm.
And what a wonderful, beautiful soul Harvey was. And I sit here at the kitchen table. That's where we Stabers discuss many issues.
Right. We're at it too.
And became fond of one another in spite outside of ourselves. But I'm sitting here at my kitchen table surrounded by the spirit of Harvey. And you know, with Harvey, there's Teresa.
Yeah.
And that attraction that they had for each other was about love and loving life and loving others. So that's the wonderful, wonderful Harvey and Teresa that we know. And so it's so great to see and hear so many people who've felt his love and his deep passion for life. And that's all I have to say today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love you guys. Love you, Teresa, and everyone here.
When did you come, when did you join the service? How, I kept scrolling, but like, Jeannie, did you see a bunch of the service?
Only through Larry, because for some reason my address was
Right,
on
but
his-
at what point, but you did see, but you saw some of it.
I saw all of it, I believe.
Oh, good. Oh,
There is a
good.
recording, you know, it's being recorded, so they will share that. I'm sure that as soon as Teresa gets the link, she'll email it out to everyone. Yeah, thank you so much.
It was funny because all of a sudden I saw Larry's face, who I haven't seen in a zillion years, just kind of in one of the squares. And I'm like, he looks very familiar. That looks like Larry. Thank you, Larry.
You're very welcome. I can't figure this out. I'm trying to mute myself here, but I can't get this thing working. I guess I'm technically challenged like Mike's sister.
Me too.
Anybody else I can't help it, I didn't recognize my address.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah.
say something? Is that Ken? Is that your name?
Eula, actually.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm Ken. She's Eula.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Eula, and Harvey is like a brother to me. And Harvey and my friend Ken came to my house today to make sure my new computer was working and that we could watch this service for Harvey. It was very sweet. A lot of work was put into it. Harvey Ken was the one that introduced me to the EA program, introduced me to Harvey. The three of us sometimes were the only ones at the meeting, but then it did grow. We had some very special times together. And sometimes Harvey would miss the key and we couldn't get into the meeting room. We'd have our meeting outside, or we worked it out, and we just had some wonderful times. And I know Harvey and I would each other out for our birthday dinners, and we just had some really, really special times. We lived close. We could walk to each other's homes, and Teresa was there. She was always smiling and sweet. So I just so blessed to have them in my life. And I just am grateful for this program that's put on it for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, Scott.
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm Scott. I took over hosting Harvey's Tuesday EA meeting when he couldn't do it anymore. And I'm really grateful for the influence that he had on my life. I lost my dad when I was really young. He also succumbed to cancer, and as soon as I met Harvey, he reminded me of my dad, and he was just kind of a paternal figure for me. And if I was feeling down or I needed some advice, I would call up Harvey, and he would always take time to talk to me. And I'm just really grateful for that. He was I guess you could say he was like an emotional role model for me. If I ever found myself in a situation, in a struggling, in a tough situation, I would think, well, how would Harvey feel about this? How would he react? And that would always kind of calm me down and reassure me. One of my favorite memories is when I first started to attend his meetings, he would do this thing where every now and then he would lean over and he would hit a button that triggered a clip from the Beatles song, The End, which I think is the last Beatles song that they made. But the line says, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And he loved hitting that button. And I love it, and I love hearing it. And now whenever I hear that song, I think of him. So yeah, thanks for letting me share. Thank you.
I don't want to keep everyone too long, but if somebody still wants to share, please feel free to unmute yourself and share.
I'd like to share quickly. I was another sponsee of Harvey's, and he, as others have said, helped me through difficult times. I have mental illness issues, and he was more important to me than psychiatrists and therapists and meds. The work he did saved me a lot of times. And again, he was a friend, someone I could rely on. And I hope that I gave some to him as well. He indicated as much, but probably just being kind. One of the kindest, friendliest, giving people I've ever met. And from hearing all of these stories and from the wonderful ceremony, I gather he had a long lifetime of service and love that he gave to the entire world. I appreciate him. I'll miss him, and I thank everyone for sharing what they've shared, and my condolences to the family.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to, anybody hear me?
Hi there.
I want to share, I'm cousins with these girls, neighbor
That
girls.
got my mother excited.
Annabelle, I always miss you. I'm so glad to see you. And just want to say how our grandmothers were sisters, half sisters. And that's a real strong bond with all the Staber-Keogh group. And this was a lovely memorial. I remember when Harvey and Teresa came to our house just once. They were in this room. I remember him standing here. He was strong presence and all the things that people mentioned. So, and it's important to know what a powerful influence we can have on others and in the world, and just by being so loving. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Yeah, so a couple weeks after Harvey passed, I ended up in a coma. I don't remember dreams or anything from it, but I woke up with a feeling that someone had told me it was going to be okay. Harvey and I talked quite a bit about the afterlife and what it might be. And I woke up so calm and I didn't understand why. I woke up intubated, and that's one of my biggest fears.
Wow.
Something down my throat. I didn't freak out. I was completely calm. It just felt like there was help there. And I felt that there's something I had been told, words expressed to me, and I don't know them exactly. I can't say what it was, how it happened. I don't know, but somehow I came out hearing his words in his voice. It's gonna be okay. It's okay. And I think that's part of what's got me here. Because recovering from that was, and one of the great examples that Harvey set for me. And I mean, I'm sick and still helping people. He went right until the end, though.
Wow.
Helping as much as he could. Putting everybody else first. Give me the strength to continue. And I thank him for that. And I send my love to him and his family and everybody whose life he touched. I'm sure it was thousands, if not millions. We love you, Harvey. Thank you.
Moving.
Powerful, very powerful. Well, today's a full moon. And the convention is starting, and what a hubbub.
Yeah.
I get
Is there anyone
Harvey
else that-
stirring the pot.
Is there anyone else that that wanted to share something? I really appreciated hearing everyone's what you shared. It was really beautiful.
Thank you, Debbie, for holding the space.
Good night, everybody.
I'm going to stop the recording and I'm going to say goodbye and thank you, and watch your email because there will be links to the recordings, and if you need help finding the link to the YouTube slideshow, you can contact Teresa, and I'm sure she can help you with that.
And Debbie.
Everybody, good health, peace.
And what?
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Nancy,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy,
for
were you
doing
saying
this.
something?
I said, Teresa will get to hear this.
Yeah.
Or be back